What's up, DCI family? Happy Monday, May 22nd, 2023. We got some great stuff for you. We got some new reporting, basically, and it was kind of the most common errors that are happening in the CIP program. I know this is a hot button issue for a lot of you guys. Again, this is Adam Peterson. I do these trainings on every Monday, so thank you for hopping on. Please hop on every week. We always try to cover important topics. We do a new hire every week, but we always kind of cover what's the latest and greatest, what's important to you guys as a dealer. So today our focus is on CIP, and so we want to make sure we're going over the common errors and how to correct them. And this is still new to us too, right? We're all kind of learning it. So this report that came out kind of had the errors that they're seeing and why are things being rejected. So I'm going to get better at this as we get more information. There's only been one report so far, right? So we're probably going to cover this again next month as well. But let's hop out the gates and share the information. It's kind of the thought process here is what's happened, why are you guys getting theirs, and how can we avoid them in the future, right? So with that said, I will jump into the training deck. I'm not sure, can you guys see my screen okay? And hopefully you can hear me and I'm not talking to myself.
We've got you.
All right, perfect. Before I hop into I put the top 20, or really I did 21 because I put a 1A and 1B, the top 20-ish errors that we're seeing for CIP. I want to give you kind of a couple quick market updates. So real quick on the DCI side for all you guys, remember those N70 devices that are out there, Moto G 5G, Moto G Stylus 5G, Moto Edge Plus, Solero 5G Plus, Samsung A23, get those. And you want to sell those because once that Rainbow SIM network comes to your market, there are additional bounties there and you're future-proofing yourself for those. So I want to give you a quick reminder on that. Also, allocations will be reset Tuesday night. And the iPhone is continued to be restrained. It's going to be restrained for a few weeks. So we should be healthy on the 12s and the renewed 11 12s as well. But the iPhone 11, which I know that's the most high in demand device everyone wants, we're just really tight on that. And with that being said, Boost sees that as well. And they're kind of changing some pricing on it. And it's not till the 26th, so you guys have a few days. But the new and upgrade price on iPhone 11, because inventory is getting so tight, is going up from $99.99 to $199.99 for new and upgrades. Again, that starts on May 26th. So that's a very important one for you guys to be aware of. The port-in pricing will stay the same as the $49.99. The Solero 5G 2023 will also have a standalone BOGO effective 5/26. It will no longer be on the $25 add-on. And just another reminder that the legacy sales portal is scheduled to be decommissioned by end of May. So complete subscriber migration GSF is expected by this time. With that said, your orange SIM cards. You guys don't slam orange SIM card sales. You're going to be fine. You will be able to activate those orange SIM cards on GSF, but that old network is going away. Everything will be on Elevate Web, or what is called guided sales flow. Those terms are kind of used interchangeably. GSF is the new term you guys probably hear most often. All right, want to make sure we touched on that. Lastly, what do you want to push with that shutdown coming out? So this is posted on the sales portal, but just wanted to touch on it. Those legacy only devices that won't be able to be activated. You guys probably don't have a lot of these in stock. Maybe some ShockVolt SV55s. You want to get those out this week. iPhone XRs are older, renewed iPhone 7s, Galaxy. I mean, these are really old devices. JoyTab 2, Link Zone 2s, CoolPad Stream, WeCoRide 3, Moto G Play, Samsung Galaxy A10e. The Samsung Galaxy A51, that's another one you want to push. Now, we have the A52 we're really pushing now. But that A51, that's a legacy device, not the A52. But the big ones I see on shelves is like that Samsung A51, or if you happen to have a ShockVolt SV55, you do want to push heavily before, I mean, we got a little over, we got a week and a half before May 31st, because these are legacy only devices that will not work on the new network. Any questions on these? All right. So that's it for kind of the weekly
Adam,
updates.
I think there's a hand raised by KG Premier guest.
Yes, please.
Hey, what up, Robert? Hey, Adam. Hey, yeah, sorry, just a quick question. I had an S20 FE that I had active on GSF. Are we saying that it would no longer work?
I mean, if it worked for you and it activated, that's great, but that is listed as a legacy-only device. So kind of surprised that went through. It technically shouldn't have, but if it worked, you're good to go. But it is listed as a legacy-only device. But as long as that's active and working, no, it will not stop working.
Yeah, I think this is more in regards to what's allowed to be activated on the legacy portal, not so much of if it's going to still work or not. So once it's activated, you're good. Well, we're just basically telling you kindly that if you have any inventories unsold, but it's on the device hot sheet showing as a legacy-only device, we highly recommend that you get these out of your stores rather sooner than later.
Very good. Yeah, and you guys, if you have questions, please feel free to stop me, interrupt me at any time, and ask your questions, because that's what these are for, right? These calls are always just to help you guys. So any questions you have, even when I'm going through these next kind of 20 or really 21 slides, if you have a question on them, let me know. They're pretty self-sufficient. I think we're going to get through them pretty quick, but let's go ahead and hop into it. So the top 20 CIP fails. One of them, zip code does not match. So really important, you want to go everything off the driver's license. We're getting a lot of errors on zip codes not matching. So that could be the customer's giving you the zip code and you're typing off the driver's license. Everything you're gonna want to use is you want to match the driver's license. If they moved or whatever the case may be, go off the driver's license, because this is systematic. Similar to like ACP, it's going to go off the records that they have on file. If that new zip code isn't on file for that customer, it's not going to match. It triggers a high-risk email fraud category. So make sure you are matching your zip code to the driver's license. That is one that we are seeing a lot of rejections on. Next one, last name does not match. Match that last name exactly. If your driver's license has 2 names in it, put both last names in it. Match that last name exactly. They're seeing last names don't match and no date of birth available. So it's kind of 2 categories. So some things they're saying aren't required but suggested. What we're seeing is if it's suggested you're not putting it in there, it's giving a flag. And if you get a couple flags, then it's airing out. So look at DCIP, in my opinion, as a postpaid customer. And this is going to be great for when you get ready to do the Boost postpaid version, which is going to be coming to a lot of your guys' stores soon. This is really training you for that. So you want to get in that mindset. You want to make sure you have this information, have that last name, have that date of birth that has to be in there, because we are seeing things rejected for, zip code not matching, last name not matching. All right, that's number 19. Number 18 is, again, that last name doesn't match or the email address does not exist. So they're seeing, kind of a combination. So one, the last name doesn't match your driver's license and you're not putting a valid email address. And you'll see email pop up on this list a lot. And this is one of the key things that you guys have to understand about CIP program. You cannot use a fake email address. You cannot use boost123@gmail.com. You cannot use an email address that was just created when the customer came into your store. These email addresses have to be valid and on file for 30 days to get the CIP pricing. If they're trying to create something new, it's not going to work. Now, this shouldn't be a really big issue, because if you think about it, your customers that are coming in, whether they're port-ins or upgrades or whatever the case may be, any phone has either the Play Store or the App Store, right? So you have to, in any Android phone, you have to have an email to get any apps. Same thing for any iPhone. So there are email addresses with every customer. So if you have to go into their old phones and get that, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, if they have one that's on file, or if they're a new customer, they probably have, if they have an old phone, if they can pull it, or they should have an email. I mean, think about it. We're in 2023. Who doesn't have an email address, right? Don't let them give you that runaround, because it can affect the pricing. They do have to have a valid email, and it has to be on file for 30 days. Yes, we see it where a lot of customers don't remember the email address, but that's where you guys can go into their old phones and pull that. All right, let me just check real quick. I see 2 things here. Let me see if there's any other hands that popped up in the chat. 1 second. Okay, we got it. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. As we just, another email address is invalid email, but the details on that was subjects were deceased. So I don't know how they're catching that, but this was one of the categories on there, is that the email address was to someone who is deceased. So kind of a weird one, but it did pop up. So make sure that they're not using, let's say they have a parent that passed away and they're using their parent's email address because they're skeptical about giving out their own. Important to use their own email address. Let me just get the slideshow. Let me make this bigger here. I'm in kind of slide sorter view. There we go. Okay. Last name does not match address. So the address the customers have on file, the last name has to match it. So this goes back to the driver's license, right? When they're putting the address in, they have to put the last name that is associated with that address. If they have a driver's license that has an address on there, but they're giving you a different address for the last name, this is airing out, right? So this is one, again, I guess my key thing to call out here is make sure you're focusing on what that driver's license or state ID says, and that's what you need to match. Whatever address is on there, don't go with their current living address, go with what's on their state ID or their state driver's license. Make sure that last name matches with the address on their ID, because that is causing rejections. PO boxes, they are getting some invalid address as a PO box. So again, go to the ID. If the ID has a PO box, you should be okay. But if it's something different and you're given a PO box on there, you're going to get an error, and it's not going to process correctly for you. So make sure, again, you're matching the ID. If they give you a different address, it's a PO box, don't use it. PO boxes are not going to be accepted unless it is on their driver's license or state ID. Last name does not match or no date of birth. So make sure you are putting in the customer's correct date of birth from their ID as well. Some of these questions, like, you know, it's not rocket science, right? It's you get their ID and use their ID. And on top of that, side tip, pro tip, when you have that ID, check Xfinity as well. You're going to have this customer's ID in hand. It can take you from one sale to two sales because you already have everything you need to do an Xfinity check, right? So while you're doing the CIP, you can also be checking Xfinity to see if they're eligible for home internet in their house as well. That's just kind of a bonus pro tip. If you have this ID in hand, you kind of have that customer's attention. You have time to do a full interaction with them. And as Boost is changing, we're not going to get your customers in and out of the door, you know, as fast as you can. It's about legit, valid sales. So take your time, maximize your opportunity. When you have that driver's license, make sure everything's matching, their date of birth's matching and all that, but also pull up a second window. Check that Xfinity as long as you have it in your area, right? And then if you can offer them that product as well, hey, you actually qualify for unlimited home internet. How much are you paying right now? Are you paying less than $40 for your unlimited home internet? Because you get $5 off if you have Boost and Xfinity. You can pitch in that for $40 a month. So that's just a great tip I want to throw in there as we're talking about these things, which largely revolve around verifying your customers' data. Another one, high risk available, no social security number. So this one to me was like a little curious, right? Because it was like, I think social security number is optional, but what we're seeing is, you know, they could be saying the email address seems new and they don't have a valid social security number. Remember, email address has to be over 30 days, but also you want to make sure you have that social. So even though it says optional, my belief is just say, hey, in order to get this pricing, it's like a postpaid customer, they require social security number. That would be my talk track, right? I'm going to use this is say, just get the social security number, say it's required to get the discount. You're going to be good to go. You're going to alleviate, you know, one of the biggest reasons we're seeing some complications, things aren't going through right away because we're either not providing it or providing it incorrectly. Now, social is not going to be on the driver's license. Obviously, they are going to have to know their social security number. Another one is it was high risk email and it was tumbled was the category there. And that means zip code did not match and there was no date of birth available. So again, focusing on that zip code, in focusing on the date of birth, make sure you are matching it up with ID. So you'll see a lot of these categories are very similar, but they have little tweaks. Like this one is zip code and DOB. Some of the other ones were just zip code, right? But these are all things that are causing emails to get, or applications to get rejected and sent back. So make sure you guys are using that appropriate email and zip code rather, and date of birth. It said high risk email, but these are the two things: was zip code and date of birth. But that did highlight the category for email tumbled. So want to let you guys be aware of that. Last one, last name mismatch again. So match the driver's license exactly, so the spelling has to be exact. And I know some of these are similar. It seems like, hey, you just said this. Yes, but there's different categories, and these things are on the same categories. And there's we see a column of how many errors are happening on these, and they're hitting different categories for errors. So again, just a reminder, make sure your last names are correct. Email under 30 days. This is a big one we talked about. The email address has to be established over 30 days old, and duplicate emails are not allowed. So if you have a family of people, it's basically one person's email per account. This is getting flagged because maybe you're doing 2 or 3 phones for CIP pricing, but you're using the same email address for 2 or 3 people, right? So the email has to be valid, has to be over 30 days. And these are individual emails. These are not shared emails. Newer record found, high risk email fraud. So this one, again, was combined 2 factors, zip code and date of birth. So you'll see a lot of these. Sometimes if it's one thing, it might not get flagged. When you have 2, these can be in any combination. So this one was zip codes didn't match the driver's license and date of birth didn't match. Right? These are all easy fixes for you guys, but this is what we're seeing why the things are getting rejected. High risk email fraud. The zip code didn't match and the email domain does not exist. So if you're using a fake, like instead of .com, you're doing .whatever, like Mickey Mouse at 123.com, that email domain does not exist. So again, this is to using legit email names, not using anything that is fraudulent. Don't make anything up that will not go through. This is number 5, right? So we're seeing a lot of this. We're seeing a lot of fake emails. So I know when you guys were doing Smile and Dial, there was a lot of like Mickey Mouse at 123.com, right? And this is bad on a couple of fronts. When you think about your Smile and Dial opportunities and sending campaigns to all of your customers, those campaigns are sent based on the email addresses you enter at point of sale. And this is something we've been pushing for like a couple of years. Hey, it's very important to enter accurate emails. And now it's even more important because as we go to customer lifetime value and as Compass switching for your doors and they're looking for legit long-term customers, it's so important you have a valid email address in there. So like when you have a campaign, it goes out to all your customers or say, hey, we're putting everyone on auto top up because there's a bounty for auto top ups. But we want to make sure we're driving that customer back to our store. Well, great way to do that. You can send an email campaign to all your customers saying, hey, this weekend only, so whatever the next holiday is, if it's Father's Day or whatever, we're doing a 50% off accessories for Father's Day. Boom, hits all your customers. If you're putting a fake email address in, that's not going to work. And when you try to get CIP, put a fake email address in, not going to work. Everything has to match up. Street number does not match. Number 4, street number does not match email. Domain does not exist. So again, addresses have to match exactly with the driver's license. Don't let them choose their current location. Number 3, this one was out a lot. Social security number issued prior to date of birth. So this is basically social security numbers aren't matching. So if the customer wants to give you a fake social security number, you can kind of let them know, hey, make sure it's a real one. If you give me a fake social security number, it's going to be pushed back and it's going to be declined. They have to use their legit social security number or else these won't be approved. And we see that we're seeing a lot of this. We're seeing a lot of fake social. So I don't know if people are saying, oh, I don't know if it's technically required, so I'm putting something fake in, but these are getting rejected left and right. Make sure you put an accurate social security number in because otherwise these will be kicked back to you. Number 2, high-risk address alert. So the email address does not exist and no social security number. So if your email address is wrong, if social security is not posted, then that's flagging. That's the number 2 biggest reason why applications are getting rejected right now. So make sure you're putting the social security number in and accurate email addresses. And then number 1, the biggest reason why applications get rejected is going back to that address. Address that does not match customer's driver's license, which is causing a fail. So you see a lot of these are very similar, right? And it all comes down to very, very much basics. Look at it as a postpaid customer. Get your mindset in activating postpaid customers on Boost. You need the driver's license. You need their information to be accurate. What you're doing is you are training yourself to get in that kind of postpaid mindset, because Boost Infinite's coming. Boost Infinite, for those who don't know, is Boost's postpaid brand, where you're going to be able to offer customers $25 a month, unlimited talk, text, and data. Okay, this is coming. This is coming to 4.0 doors. It's coming to your locations. People who are at Summit were able to sign up for it early. And Boost is going to be choosing a lot of our doors because we don't have points of distribution for Boost Infinite. They're launching it at our existing Boost stores. All right, and Boost Infinite is going to be ran like a T-Mobile, like a Verizon, where you have to get the driver's license and all the information, and they have to qualify. You guys are being trained with CIP to get in the habit of doing these things now. So you got to get in that habit, change your mentality of, hey, we're prepaid, we sell to anybody and everybody, which we still do, but we're looking for longer term customers with better CLV, customer lifetime value. You guys are probably going to hear that word in the future a lot. And your postpaid customers or your customers who sign up with an ID, they're going to stay with you guys longer. And this is really important, because if you get them to stay with you longer, you're going to make profit for the lifetime of that customer, right? Residuals are going to be a big part of the business moving forward. So you want to make sure that you guys are on top of this now and stay aggressive with it, because it's going to shape your success in the future. Now, the majority of dealers out there are going to be much more profitable with the changes that are coming. So just kind of shift your mentality. It's not about getting customers in and out in a quick time frame. It's about getting legit customers, taking your time, giving that kind of the red carpet treatment, or some people call it like white glove treatment, making them make sure they come back to your store and you're getting them everything they need at their best values and prices. Because, man, once this network launches, if you think about these other networks like Verizon and AT&T, their networks were built as voice networks with data added onto it. But Dish's network that's being built across the country right now, this is all built on data. The voice is going to be on data. This is a totally new technology. We're going to have a huge advantage over Verizon. We're going to have a huge advantage over T-Mobile on how we are doing this network. We are basically future-proofing it. It's going to be awesome. So these changes, they're not hard. They're pretty easy. But I know there's been a lot of errors. So I want to go over what we're seeing the most of and make sure we adjust our game plan to that, and to give you guys success in future sales. So with that said, we got about 5 minutes left. Are there any questions out there about any of these categories at this time?
When something goes wrong, what can we do to fix it? Because we're talking about if things can go wrong, how long is the wait before, or the denial for them to rerun the app or getting it going or getting the activation going?
Good question, Renato. I'll have to find that out. I mean, this is still new for all of us. I don't know how quick that escalation thing is. I would take it to your Boost account executive and see what they're going to do. I know that they talked about once things change over, they're shifting a lot of the workforce over, right? So we should have a lot more workforce on there, but I haven't heard like a quick escalation path. I know that's very frustrating for everybody. But again, I'm still learning this just like you guys, so I have not heard how quick that's going to be, but I know it's very important. And they, with the new system, that what they told us at Summit is they're putting 7,000 more employees over onto the guided sales network, which is going to be part of that, right? So they also mentioned they are having specialized customer care, new customer care. There was issues raised about, hey, the troubles we all know that customer care can have, right? And so they're having special training for these guys. So it should get better and better. I don't know exact ETA, but they are definitely aware it's an issue. And hopefully it's pretty quick. If I find out more, I'll definitely make sure to bring it up on a future call.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And if you guys have a question outside of the topics we covered today, this is always open forward. You guys can give us anything. And I think Rachel just typed in, can they provide an ITIN will be verified? Yes, I believe ITINs are allowed. Yes. Chris Mary. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question about the end of life devices that we have, like for TN only. I have some devices here in my store that are not on the end of life hot sheet, I guess. How do we price those? Because the end of life hot sheet is also not in the on the portal anymore.
So if those are so are you saying those are so old they're off the hot sheet?
Basically.
Okay. So those you basically you want to get what you can get for them, right? There's no reimbursement on those. If they're off the hot sheet, it means they're like past end of life. So if you can get SRP for them, you're breaking even. But I would do anything you can to move those.
Yeah, just to clarify, Adam, I would check with store manager or store owner on what you guys paid for those devices, just to set expectations there, because what Adam is saying is valuable, right? You want to get something for these devices, but the reality is that the lifetime of these devices is coming to an end, and soon we won't be able to activate them outside of the sales portal. So just check with the owner of the store what you guys paid for them to see what that best price will be if it's no longer available on the device hot sheet.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. I think we have another question from Chris Marie.
Yep. Oh, I think she just asked hers.
It was just me that asking, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question. That old system, this is just for the reporting, and is this still going to be open for reporting and inventory count? What's that going to look like in the new system? Are you guys aware of it yet?
Everything's going to be moved to guided sales flow, but I haven't seen it. But everything that's going to be out there right now on the sales portal, like Hot Sheet, the Buzz, all that, everything they said will be moved to guided sales flow, but I have not yet seen what that looks like. But
Wouldn't
they
that
didn't
be
sure
moved to the Boost You learning?
Yeah, I saw that on the webinar, and like the Elevate marketing, how it was on the legacy, is that gonna have like a similar icon? I know like you guys don't know as much as we do, but just curious if you guys knew anything.
I thought they said at Summit that was going to state that the Elevate marketing, I think, is its own page. It is not portal related. So I think they said that will remain the same as what it is today.
Oh, okay. Normally I just click on the marketing link on the legacy and it'll pop up the link. So I didn't know if they were going to do that on the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have two versions of Elevate, right? So that Elevate web-based platform is one thing, and then the computer-based platform is a separate thing. But that computer-based platform is not going anywhere. So you'll have access to that from now on. But I don't think there's going to be a change where you can see those.
Last question. Words of encouragement. Now that we don't have a system to rely back on, what do we do when we do have issues that can take 24, 72 hours, or if we can't help a customer at that time? I mean, I'm expecting a lot of crashes with something going to open up like that. I mean, what can you tell the dealers and the staff what we can do?
So very fair question, right? And this was brought up. And the message we're hearing is right now, Boost team has been torn between two systems. Their staffing, their IT, everything has been torn between two systems. They're migrating the additional 7,000 employees over to guided sales flow, which should greatly increase any kind of errors or systems that go down. With that said, every company will go down from time to time, like even Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T. everything's not 100% proof, right? Everything goes down, but the rate things have been going down on guided sales flow for the last couple of years. I understand that question, right? It's been a lot. They've assured us that with these 7,000 more employees all focused for it, it's not going to happen nearly as much. I mean, basically it's going to be eliminated. It shouldn't happen. Now, I take that with a grain of salt because just like you, we've seen it for the past 2 years. So I hear the words they say, and it sounds optimistic. And they said they're working on a parachute solution. So in case something happens, like what can we do? What is that parachute solution? Don't have details on it. But they did say they don't, with everything in there from the CEO of Dish on out, that system should work because they're putting so much resources into it. They aren't running 2 networks. So they've asked for, hey, have some faith in it, which I understand is leery because of how things have gone, but said, hey, have some faith in it. We're going to have so many people on this. You should have a completely different experience. And that doesn't mean it's going to work 100% at the time because, again, every company has that small outages here and there, but it should be vastly, vastly improved than what we've experienced in the past.
Wish us luck.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Does ACP look the same on the new system, or you haven't seen it yet? Like with the promo code.
Yeah, we'll probably get Will Linder on a future call. Will does the ACP training. It should be very similar, if not the same. But I was in talks with him. We're going to set something up the next couple of weeks to do ACP training on GSF. But I think it's going to be extremely similar, if not identical.
Okay, you got it. No more questions.
By the way, there's another ACP training on GSF scheduled at 1:00 p.m. Central Time. So if you guys have not had a chance to join one of those trainings last week, we'll happy to send an invite again.
Okay, we would appreciate that.
No problem.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much. You guys have a fantastic week. Happy selling. We'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks for hopping on.